What I see now in the classrooms compared to 6 years ago, I never would have thought was possible.
I love how you looked in the book. And
The kindergarten class is doing a literacy circle. It's phenomenal.
I found it really hard to believe.
do you remember yesterday that we talked about cause and effect, kind of just like dominoes, making something else happen?
Kids can do a whole lot more than most people realize.
A cause and effect example in this story.
I don't think that there's anything that I can't expect from any kid that walks in this building right now.
Oh, it's night and day.
Peter threw the ball at the chicken and then the chicken fell off the plate.
What's this an example of, everyone? Cause and
Effect.
you have another one?
Our school had the lowest scores in the city, and we're now one of the top scores in the city.
I'd call BSRI a critical partner. It's a critical friend in the process of improvement.
This partnership is huge.
BSRI, they're my savior.
Our school had been through a couple of redistrictings. In Beverly, we had gone from 9 or 10 elementary schools down to 6. Our test scores were not strong. We were consistently not making AYP.
In a neighborhood that used to be, say, a middle-class neighborhood, and then the district redistricts, and all of a sudden 40% of the kids in that school are low income. And you have a faculty that always used to have really good grades. All of a sudden, same teachers, and now they look like failures. With respect to kids whose parents never read to them, who come to school with huge language deficiencies. In fact, teachers, no one had ever taught them what to do. It's not that they don't care. It's not that they don't work hard. It's that they're doing stuff that isn't going to work. When you look at all the strategies that people have today, bust up unions, fire half the teachers, fire the principal, have a bureaucratic statewide evaluation system, all of that's kind of beside the point. We admire teachers, we like teachers, and we know they care about their kids, but they need help.
In Gloucester, we needed some real serious outside experts to come in and help us do things that we hadn't been doing.
Very good. What if I change the vowel to this one? Let's try it. Egg. Beg. That is real, right? Maybe you want.
We had some work to do, and we knew we had some work to do. BSRI came along. They had a very structured, methodical idea about instruction for students and ways to improve. So it was really, really good.
We started with BSRI in one of our schools, one of our challenge schools economically. And then after that, in the third year, we expanded to the rest of our elementary schools.
Bay State Reading Institute is a nonprofit Massachusetts corporation whose mission is to work with schools, with teachers and with principals to give them all the help they need to become high-performance schools. At first in literacy, but eventually across the curriculum in math and in science and history.
This is, to me, when you talk like this together, this is how you work together as a team.
It's almost impossible, I think, for a school to do all that on its own. I think they need an outside partner. And that partner needs to be their partner for all of this. And it needs to be someone they like and respect and they're comfortable with.
Because there are so many different kids in class with so many different abilities, so many different learning styles, that to really get to every kid, you need to be able to differentiate your instruction for every kid in the classroom.
We group kids based upon somewhat their skills, and so teachers are able to take a small group of students to the teacher table that have similar needs and work with them in a much smaller setting.
I'm able to give each child almost their own curriculum. You're able to catch some of those children who are struggling before they really fall behind. It does a lot for motivation and for confidence as well. They're able to respond and answer questions, and they feel comfortable. And just that extra boost of confidence really gives them the motivation they need to want to succeed in class.
We've done a lot of work around accountable talk and how we work in small groups. How do you make it an atmosphere that if you want to be there to learn, how do you act so that others too can learn in the classroom? They're really respectful of each other. They know that we have high expectations for them, that we're invested in them, and they don't want to disappoint us. They don't want to disappoint themselves. They want to do the best job that they can. So providing them with those high expectations makes them want to achieve more every day.
And children kept rotating through different activities and really showing their own leadership. It was wonderful to see the children, even as young as kindergarten, completely engaged in the activities that they were doing.
I was amazed at how confident the kids were, how serious they were about the work they were doing, very careful, very thoughtful, and just really creative and kind of liked the challenge that they were being given.
You don't have discipline issues anymore because they're all working, they're all engaged, they all want to succeed. So you don't see the things that you would see, in a typical classroom with behavior issues, because these kids are literally engaged and the instruction is differentiated to their level.
The special education students with this model can be totally included in the classroom. They're able to see myself and receive instruction that's at their own level, which replaces the need for them to be removed. And they're doing it all while staying in the classroom with their peers, and they still get those peer role models as they have in the classroom. So their growth has been tremendous by working in small groups.
It's not a zero-sum game. You don't take away from the kids who are already doing well by individualizing instruction and by paying more attention to language development and to conversation and to looking for evidence and for critical thinking. And what's happened is not only have we helped them bring up the struggling kids, but the parents of the other kids are happier too. Because when you start addressing every kid at her own level, then the high flyers are going to fly higher.
The Bay State program, with its coaches for the principal and its coaches for the teacher, offers embedded professional development to the school day.
So it's not like, here's a new way of doing something, just do it. They don't feel alone in the process.
The kind of teamwork that develops between our two coaches, the literacy consultant and the principal coach, the school's reading coach and the principal, most of the time this is just like that. It's a really close partnership.
When we talk about partnerships and we list our partnerships, BSRI is at the top of that partnership list. We think of them as part of our family when we talk about BSRI.
There's a week-long institute in the summer, and I would say 85% of my teachers that first year attended that, so they got the basic instructions, the 5 components of reading.
Everybody in one grade went, and they really came back as a team. So now we just didn't implement a skill in different pockets of different grades, we implemented it as a school, and that made a difference.
The opportunities that BSRI has provided the Linden School with is top-notch. You cannot be successful without having those best practices, without having that opportunity to go to professional development with the best of the best.
The professional development doesn't stop after that session ends.
Okay, so why don't you guys show me how you do sentence scramble first? And are you guys doing it individually, or are you supposed to be working together on it?
They have a reading coach in the school every day to model for the kids, with our literacy consultant to back her up and teach her. And that combination is really powerful.
I feel like I always have questions for my BSRI coach, so she's just an email or a phone call away, and she gets back to me right away, and she has so many strategies.
Sometimes you call somebody and they don't answer, or they come a week or 2 after you need them. BSRI is here the day we need them.
Grace Marie trains me, and then I train the teachers. She helps me not only model lessons, but she helps me with building those relationships. I wouldn't be able to do it without Grace Marie. We'll do walkthroughs twice a month where Grace Marie, Jackie, Rich, and myself will do walkthroughs. We go back into the office and debrief and talk about what we thought we saw, what were some of the strengths and weaknesses, and then brainstorm with Grace Marie and Jackie what they think our next steps should be.
So you can compromise, or so you can collaborate on an idea. So what did you come up with? I know you had them working in pairs, and what I noticed is they were actually just sitting next to each other, like parallel playing in preschool or kindergarten, and they weren't talking together.
So not enough give and take.
So not enough give and take, not enough discussion. So a lot of times what I do is I have them make the pencil go back and forth. Like I write one answer, then the next person writes the next. I think that'll help us get the discussion we want.
Oh, that's
I
good,
loved what you were doing. I loved the partner reading stuff. I thought it went great. I love your literature circles.
Oh, thank you.
I think they're going very nicely.
Oh, they're loving it.
Yeah.
They're eating that up.
Okay.
That teamwork approach to things. Teachers are no longer working in isolation. They're working as partners with a coach. They're working as partner with the principal in developing the needs of all students and what it takes for them to succeed.
The principal may not be a literacy expert, but can begin to talk the language and understand it. It builds the collaboration with the staff.
BSRI has been a huge help to me because now I'm really starting to learn, you know, what literacy is all about, you know, the way things should be done, differentiating instruction.
For a school to succeed, you need like 90–95% of the teachers to be on board. And that's not going to happen unless the principal is driving it.
The teachers know that, you know, how much I depend on BSRI and what it means. They know how important it is to me. They take everything that BSRI does pretty seriously.
Yeah, I think it's not only made the kids, I think, much better with their comprehension and their reading, but it makes me a more effective teacher. So I want to thank you.
Teachers, for the longest time, had the mentality that they weren't supposed to fail, that they were supposed to be the ones that knew everything. We've kind of changed that it's okay, you know, not to be the smartest person in the room, and you know, it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to listen to what other people do.
The idea of academic coaching for teachers, as opposed to just evaluating teachers, is amazing. She's a colleague, and she's there to, you know, help you do your best. You would never expect to be, you know, Olympic swimmer without a coach and without practice. So to become a really good teacher, you need to have the model works the same way.
Any professional along their career gets professional development, and why would we think teachers are any different?
We randomly pull 5 or 6 cards and ask teachers to update us what progress monitoring data they've seen, to see if the intervention has been working or if we need to change it up a little bit. It also gives us an opportunity to really share best practices, to collaborate with one another, share what has worked, and ask questions of each other. What have you done that could help me help this student?
But my concern is, now that he's not receiving that intervention, what are other things that I can still do with him in the classroom to keep that fluency up? Because his fluency is great. I just don't want it to end the
The ability to adjust your instruction based upon data is not something that you learn in undergraduate school. You really need to have some experience and again, the reading coach comes in and is able to say, why don't you try this with that student?
We all work together. The child is at point A, happy as can be. We're all happy. You can look at a child in the eye and say, look, you worked hard, I worked hard, look at where you've got.
My blue and green, I want you guys to really think about how you're choosing the best evidence, and I want you guys And you can't really see it until you experience it, but once you get into BSRI, I can't imagine teaching any other way now.
It's powerful to watch teachers become excited and emotional over the fact that they're moving students forward.
Results generate a smile.
Exactly.
Our school had the lowest scores in the city, and we're now one of the top scores in the city, so it's really exciting.
We just 2 weeks ago looked at our winter scores, and we can see the trajectory of the kids. So I think it's definitely showing results at all grade levels.
I have students achieving far higher levels on standardized tests like MCAS, DIBEL scores, grade scores.
So much is different, so much in 1 year that sometimes when we sit back and reflect, we almost don't believe how different it is.
We were a level 2 school. We're now a level 1 school. Our literacy rate is, 90%. We have, we saw kindergarten kids today writing and reading and, doing literature circles in the first grade. And
our kindergartners are reading by the end of kindergarten, whereas before we were still working just on CBC blends. I have, my first grade teacher saying, can you show me some of what the second grade students are doing? Because my kids are ready for that now.
So I think what BSRI has done is they've really helped us make Linden an exemplary school.
The schools in Revere that continually have worked towards the top and tested at the top and broken through the state averages are those schools that were working with Bay State out of the block. The schools that decided they didn't want to do that were lagging behind.
Our literacy rates are going up across the buildings that Bay State's in, so I see it as an investment well made for the students of Malden.
There's only a certain amount of money available, and we then as a school committee made certain trade-offs. This was the priority for this particular time in our district.
There's a moral imperative behind putting the money where you're going to get the most bang for the buck, making some decisions about exactly what's going to improve the school more than something else.
You're always looking at where to spend your money wisely. And when you have a team like Bay State on the ground with you, I can build the argument with a city council, a school committee, that I'm getting results from them. This is an investment, here are the results, we're going to keep investing because it's good for kids.
6 years ago when we started with BSRI, the percentage of students in our building that were on special education plans was running around 22 or 23%. And I just got my most recent statistics, it was at 12%.
You know, if you have a student who actually has to end up being sent outside of the school district to be educated, because we can't do it here, you know, that's $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year per student.
I think that we have seen that special education referrals come down when we have this program established in schools, which is not only a wonderful thing for a child, but really a cost savings for a school district. And when we can put those two things together, solid student achievement and cost savings, that's when a program like BSRI really pays off.